Hello, my name's George Merchant Ballantyne and I'm a Bahá'í. I became a Bahá'í at the age of 19 in my home city of Glasgow, and that, as you can see from this video, was quite some time ago, 1979. And
I'm Amanda Ballantyne, I'm George's wife. I'm not a Bahá'í, I'm an atheist, a lifelong atheist.
And when people have asked you, what are you, what do you believe? And you used to say when we started
I don't believe in anything.
Well, you would say, I'm nothing, is what you'd say. And that's not a thing, if you'll pardon the expression. So that if somebody doesn't have a designated religious belief, if they don't belong to a particular, religious affiliation, and I keep wanting to do the kind of quotation marks in this, doesn't mean they're nothing, doesn't mean they believe nothing. There are other ways of making meaning in life, obviously. And if you wouldn't mind saying something about your job, because it's a very meaningful kind of work that you do.
I suppose, yeah. I'm a superintendent registrar, so I deal with people at key times in their lives, births, deaths, marriages, so I help people to navigate those difficult times in their life. And I'm a civil superintendent registrar, if you like, so religion doesn't come into it at all.
So it's a really interesting way of describing it, that religion doesn't come into it at all, because part of the reason for doing the videos is to talk about dialogue, consultation, how to work your way around particular difficulties that might arise because we're a mixed couple. We don't think that religion is something that comes between us, really, do we?
It doesn't, because your religion is I think, a different kind of religion. You don't go to church, you don't pray, you don't really talk an awful lot about what's important to you. What I see you do, you go out and you do things in the community, you talk to other Baha'is, sometimes you go to their house, sometimes you go to places, there's events that you go to, you've got your little prayer book, and you sit and read a little prayer before you go to sleep every night.
Yeah, it's really interesting you don't pray. We've known each other for just almost 10 years. Would it surprise you to know that at least once every day I've read to myself what you call one of the Bahá'í obligatory prayers, so that you're supposed to do it on your own, you're supposed to do it in private, you're not meant to do it in front of people, and you don't do it as a group. So the fact that I've actually done it just about every single day since we've known each other, but you haven't even noticed.
No.
And I don't go, I'm off to do my prayer.
I'm going to do my prayers now. No.
You wouldn't know it was happening. So, I mean, one of the things that appealed to me about being a Bahá'í is it's actually specifically forbidden to try and force the religion down other people's throats. We talk about it, or we take part in activities, exhibitions, events, these kind of things, but there's no attempt to convert people. There's no attempt to say that you've got to believe what I believe. And I think the most important thing for a mixed couple relationship is absolutely, it's forbidden to Baha'is to try and act like this. The idea that you would convert before we could get married, that's just a complete non-starter for Baha'is. That's not a thing. In fact, there's quite a lot of stuff in the Baha'i writings about marrying someone, enter into that really important relationship who is different from yourself, so that you benefit from somebody else's cultures, their belief, the way of life that they have. And you can be a perfectly decent person and live in a very, very productive and harmonious way without having, a card-carrying religion, as it were. But one of the things that we've done a lot together, because we live in Leicester, which is a very multicultural city, your job and occasionally my job, because I've worked in a kind of formal, professional, interfaith kind of way for several years, like 15 years, I'm not doing it now, but 15 or 16 years, going to events or activities that other faiths put on, other communities or other cultures. And sometimes we'll come away from that and say, that was interesting, I wonder why they did that, or I wish we'd seen a bit more of this or a bit less of that. And the thing that kind of really we end up talking about a lot is really have to do something splitting us up as a couple.
Yeah, which is, I find that a little bit annoying. I'm curious about other religions. I'm curious about what other people believe. I'm absolutely fine with that. I don't think badly of other people's religions. I just don't. But one of the things that kind of does annoy me a little bit is when we'll go to an event and then we're immediately split up.
I have to sit one side.
You've got to sit over there. I've got to sit over here. And I think, well, hang on a minute. We'd come out tonight to have a bit of a nice time and learn a bit. And now you're all the way over there, and I'm all. And people are always really lovely to us, and the ladies are always really nice that I end up sitting with. But we went to actually spend time together, and that was
reflect on, because if you experience something together, you can then, it's like seeing a movie together. You can talk about it. What did you feel about it, and these kind of things. But if you're separated, it's kind of difficult.
And I've got to say that sometimes it makes me think that, no, I don't want to go to that with you because I know that I'm going to end up sitting upstairs and you'll be downstairs.
Or we do get put on a table together, but it's all the
other
white pasty faced British cookie cutter types. They get put on the children's table.
We always think of it as like the Christmas kids table.
But there's always ways around this. You can always find ways around these things for a happy outcome.
Yes.
You don't have to be discourteous or unharmonious or something. There's always ways to navigate it.
Coming to the Bahá'í things with you is lovely as well, because it's lovely to see Minu and Mina, and it's lovely to see them because they're such lovely ladies. They really are. And sometimes Alec will come with us.
Your son?
My son,
my stepson.
And he's 14 and he quite likes to come along, and he ends up in the kitchen washing up or whatever, doesn't he?
Yeah, the ladies think the world of him for doing that.
They think he's great. And we always have a lovely time.
Yeah.
But I never feel pressured into anything, and I don't feel bad, and you don't.
No, I don't feel I have to pressure you. And it's really interesting to be with somebody who's not of a religious inclination, because it kind of keeps you grounded in the real world. And sometimes I feel like if it wasn't like that, I'd be a bit like an untethered balloon that was just drifting off. And that being with you, you've always got to focus on the practical and the pragmatic and that kind of thing. I also want to say that, since people are going to be talking about consultation and dialogue in these videos, there is such a thing as Bahá'í consultation. It's a practice that Baha'is do, of a way of trying to kind of like see to the core of a subject. If there's something that might cause argument or some kind of disagreement, trying to identify the spiritual principles behind it, and then looking for the best way to move forward. But I've never said, let's apply Bahá'í consultation to this or something. It's just a way you live, and it's a way that you act. And the idea, we're pretty, hopefully, quite mature adults, mature in years anyway. And the idea of discussing everything together and making decisions together and planning together for the common good, because you've got 3 children in this family, and I've got 3 children, brought them in separately, as it were, and it's quite a mixed lot of outcomes that we need for them, because they're all very different and they have different needs and different interests. So trying to find a harmonious way to navigate that is really important. But I've never kind of said, here is a book about the practice of Bahá'í consultation, let us read it together so that we know what we're doing. It's just I've been a Bahá'í for 43 years, and I hope that these things are kind of integrated into the way that I act and the way that I think. Sometimes I've become very conscious that I'm not quite as good at them as I think I should be. But I don't feel I've got anything to teach you, because you are, a lifelong atheist. It doesn't mean you haven't got principles and you haven't got ways of acting that I can learn from. And doing stuff together to overcome these differences is...
I have a strong sense of what I think is right and wrong.
Yeah.
And I think it's,
we usually agree on it.
Yeah, we do.
There you go.